Hi everyone, it's Miss Kristin from Town Hall, and I'm coming here today for ArtVentures. And guess what? It's Monday, and today we're going to learn about an artist. Now I know what you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's summer, I don't want to learn. But even when we do fun crafts together, you're learning how to do that craft. So you're always learning when we hang out together. So learning is fun. Says smile, learning's fun. But today, like I said, we're going to do a little project, and we're gonna do a project similar to one that this particular artist used to do. Now, what is this artist's name? His name, if you saw it on paper, you would think it's Henri, but this person is a French artist. So when you live in France, you pronounce things a little bit differently than we do here in Ohio. So his name is pronounced Henri, and his last name is Matisse. So Henri Matisse is who we are going to talk about today. Now, you're gonna see me turn my eyes this way, and I'll turn my body this way, and that's because I have some facts I'm gonna share with you. So it's kind of like I'm on TV and I'm a famous actress and I forget what my lines are and I look to read what the card says. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. So, Henri Matisse, okay? He was born in December 31st, and guess what year? 1869. That was 150 years ago almost. You know, like that's just nuts. Do you know anybody who is 150 years old? Me neither. So let's see your wow face. 150 years ago, that's crazy. So he did not start to draw or paint or do any kind of art until he was 20 years old. Can you believe that? So all of a sudden he decided, you know what? I feel like making something. So that's pretty cool. But really what happened was he got sick when he was younger. It was called appendicitis, if you've ever heard of that word before. I'm not gonna try to spell it for you because I'll probably spell it wrong without paper to write it on. But while he was recovering, his mom bought him some art supplies because he was just resting in bed and he couldn't really do anything. And that is when he first started to do some type of artwork, and he was like, you know what, this is kind of fun. This is kind of cool. So he painted, he has paintings that you can look up and see. He did drawings, all sorts of things. But what he really became famous for is artwork that he did, and he didn't really even have to paint. I mean, he did sometimes, but he didn't have to. He made collages out of paper. And they came up with this phrase about him that's called, they would say, he painted with scissors. So basically, he would have colored pieces of paper. Now, I brought up colored construction paper. What Henri did is he actually had paper. You know, this is kind of a big piece, but if you can imagine all the tables in this room that I'm in, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables. They're 6 feet long each, okay? He would have paper that's that long, and he had helpers. Because as he got older, he was really sick and he had to always be in a wheelchair. So basically he had assistants that would help him. And he had scissors, like these are, I call them my adult scissors. His scissors even had a blade that came up this far. And what he would do is he would start cutting whatever shape or pattern he wanted to make. And because that paper was so long, his assistants would have to hold the paper for him and kind of bring it close to him so he didn't have to stop. You know what I mean? That way it was a continuous cut. Now, I'm going to turn slightly so I can see what's behind me. He used, because I knew I wasn't going to remember the word exactly, but in the 1940s, believe it or not, I was not born in the 1940s, so this was even before me, but he began to paint sheets of paper. We are going to skip that part. I'm just going to use construction paper. If you want to be fancy like the artist Henri, get some white paper, grab your paint, and paint a whole bunch of different sheets of paper, different colors. Then you're gonna have to set it aside to dry, okay? We're gonna fast forward and pretend I did that, and we're gonna pretend that this blue paper is painted and dried. But really, it's just construction paper. And then what he would do is he would cut his painted paper into shapes. And the shapes would be different. It might be a circle. A lot of shapes I would kind of look at that he does, it kind of reminds me of like things in the ocean, like seaweed and things like that. You might think differently, but that's just what I think, because when you look at someone's art, everybody has a different idea of what it is, right? That's what makes it so cool. Now, he didn't use just regular paint like what you and I normally use. He used a paint. Are you ready for this? I spelled it right on my paper, and it's pronounced gouache, gouache. And it was a water-based, quick-drying paint. So really, okay, his paint probably dried a lot quicker than the paint that you and I use. But that's what he would use. He would use painted papers that he would cut and turn into awesome, awesome, awesome paintings and artwork. Now, some of his paintings or pieces of art were this big. Some of them were this big. And some of them, if you guys have ever been into Town Hall, and if you've been upstairs on the 3rd floor with me, the whole wall he has in a museum that's just one mural of a paper collage that he did. Like at Kid Space, if you guys have been in the Kid Space building, you know that one wall in the big room that has like the town or the village and the roads that go through Groveport. Okay, well, that's not the whole wall. So imagine that whole wall covered. It's a pretty big project. I bet you that took more than an hour, right? So I want to show you here on this. This is black and white, but he's in his bed because remember I told you he got pretty sick and he really couldn't walk or stand. And do you see what he's holding? That is helping him to place his designs on the wall. So basically he used the wall as his canvas. He'd paint his paper, cut it out, and he'd have these shapes. So let's say he had a round shape, okay? Because it was hard for him to stand and whatnot, he would, from his bed, we're gonna pretend this is my little doohickey here, but he would take the shape and he really had his assistants use pins, like thumbtack pins, but really they were not thumbtacks because I don't think they had thumbtacks back then. But they would use pins to hang it on the wall. We're gonna pretend that this is a pin and I'm gonna stick it here and now it's on my wall. And basically he would kind of sit and look and be like, I don't like that there. I'm gonna move it over here. No, I'm gonna move it over here. And so that's what he did. And like I said, if he wasn't doing the moving, then he had his assistants that would help him. And he'd give him a shape and say, could you put it, no, a little bit to the left. Well, actually, I like it down low. No, move the green one. And that's how he created his art. So kind of a neat story. Just a couple examples of some things that he did. Here is one paper collage that he did. So he liked to use different colors, bright colors, but see, this is why I think it looks like seaweed or something. That's what it kind of reminds me of. You might think it looks like something different. Now this here, of course, I didn't bring the name of it, but this, if you look really close, can you see anything that looks like somebody swimming or even a mermaid? Because I totally see that. But then it's not really like an actual person. But some of the shapes make it look or make you feel like you're looking at a person, right? Hey, that's why art is so cool and so fun. So let's try it. I brought a piece of white paper. If you do not have white paper, no worries. And shockingly, I brought up some blue paper. So I have some dark blue, I have some light blue, and I have some green. And I have my scissors and I brought some glue. If you do not have glue, hopefully you have tape. But basically, I'm just gonna make something, okay? The fun thing is, it can be whatever you want. There's no magic to this. It's just create, create, create. So this particular artist is someone from one of the homeschool classes that I do during the school year, where there are some kids that don't go to school, they get teaching or they learn at home. And so sometimes they would come to us here at Town Hall and I would do a homeschool art class. And this is a particular artist that we covered. I should have brought you some pictures of some of the art that they did. But basically, I just filled all the tables and they had scissors and they had glue and then they could come and pick all different colors of paper that they wanted. And I said, look, I just want you to try to make something like he did. So it's just a paper collage. Super easy. Anybody should be able to do this because it's just whatever. So if you want to draw yours first and then cut it out, you can do that. Whatever floats your boat, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna start cutting away. So grab some paper, grab some scissors, and just think of something. Doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Could be easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, so I've got my first shape. What is this? I have no idea. You don't have, I'm not gonna make you name it. I know the other day we did something, we made a dinosaur, and I said, oh, all dinosaurs should have a name. I won't make you name your paper. Unless you want, because most artists, when you do make artwork, most of the artists will have a title or a name to that piece of art. So you could totally do that. And then what you should also get into the habit of doing, because parents really like this, because parents sometimes forget, but if you make some art and you want to keep it, or maybe your parents want to keep it, you know what you should do? Put your initials on it or put your whole name. And some artists would do it right in the front, maybe down in the corner, or you can flip your artwork over and on the back, you can write your name. And then what parents really like is the date. So that way, when you grow up and you move out of your house, and I don't know, maybe you get a job, maybe you move far away, maybe you win the lottery, buy a plane and move into a new country, you get married, whatever. Your parents are gonna miss you. They're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I just miss him so much. And then they're gonna be bored one day and they're gonna say, oh, I know, for fun today, why don't we look at some of, I don't know, Russell or Williams or Cam's, some of their old artwork. And then they're gonna pick up the artwork and say, oh my gosh, look at this. I remember when Cam made this, he was so little. And then they'll say, gosh, but what year was that? How old was he? And then they're gonna look on the back and it's gonna say, oh, he was 7, or he was 5, or oh my gosh, this is his very first artwork when he was 1. Probably not, but maybe, right? So, it's another lesson that you learned from me today. Write your name and put the date. And who knows, maybe you're gonna grow up and be famous, you know? You could have videos on the Town Hall Facebook page like me one day, and I don't know, we might be doing this together someday. So, when you grow up to be famous like me, joking, when you grow up to be famous, people are gonna wanna see some of your stuff and they're gonna be like, whew. Not only was this kid famous now, but he is famous years ago, right? Yep. Okay, so I've talked a lot because I feel like it's really boring when it's quiet. You probably don't feel the same way. You're probably like, ugh, enough already. But I love to entertain you. I miss it when you're here with me and you give me that look like, oh, she's so crazy. And I know you love coming here. I know you miss it, 'cause we always had fun together. All right, so this way you can move on with your lives and I don't know, go get some ice cream or play outside. We're gonna hurry things along here. And I just have random shapes. Some of them possibly a little bit similar to the others, but now I'm going to place them on my paper. And since I don't have an assistant to boss around, kidding, since I don't have an assistant to say, hey, it looks better over here, I am going to just place my shapes away and we'll see how it turns out. So I'm gonna just be really crazy and just glue. If you wanna place everything down first and then be like, oh, no, I don't like that, and then move it, you can totally do that. But for the sake of time, I am going to just craft away here. Now this is pretty fun though, you know, like anyone can make a collage, and it's just crazy to know that this little tiny collage that I'm making in front of me, artists make even bigger collages, bigger than probably the wall in your bedroom. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like how long did that really take? I mean, you can learn and find out information online about Henri, There's even a video. It's pretty cool, actually. There's a video if you're allowed to look him up online, but it's a video of him actually sitting, I'm pretty sure it was in his wheelchair, and cutting to make one of his famous collages. And it's just like, that's so weird. Like, he's not living with us anymore. So to see him doing the artwork that he really loved, it's kind of a cool thing to see. So you might want to check it out. But I like colors. I know it's hard to believe that I like anything besides blue, but I do. I like bright colors. And that's why I chose to learn about him, because I am always looking to find out about new artists. And I happened to find him, and I just started kind of looking at some of his pictures. And to some people, this might look really weird. I just think it's kind of cool. And like, the more I stare at it, the more I'm just like, oh, you know, what if I turned it this way? Or what if I turned it this way? It's just fun to see and use my imagination as I'm trying to figure out what the heck it is, right? So I'm placing away all of this stuff, and I hope that you are gonna be doing the same, because we're all in this together, right? You probably are too young to know that movie, but High School Musical. Hopefully some of you parents might have seen that movie, but there's a song, We're All in This Together. Totally not gonna sing it for you. I'm singing it in my head, but I will not sing it out loud because I don't like to torture people. So I'm getting there, guys. I hope you are too. I wonder what your collage is gonna look like. But something else that's interesting is there are many artists that do collages for their artwork. And you probably didn't realize this, but I can guarantee that every single person watching this video, because you know I have so many followers, but I bet you everyone that sees this video has heard of the author Eric Carle. You know, he did that book, The Hungry Caterpillar, Brown Bear, What Do You See? There's so many. I mean, I can't really think of them all right now. But anyway, he wrote these books, but then he also did the artwork in the books. Like the seahorse, that's one of my favorites. But what he did is paper collages. And what he would do is he would actually take tissue paper. So like, you know, when you get a present, you know, and your favorite presents are probably when you get clothes, and you open it up and you're like, oh, and you're unwrapping all that white tissue paper to find out what's inside. He would take white tissue paper and he would paint it. And then he would just paint whole sheets of it, okay? So if you've ever like helped somebody wrap a present before, or if you've ever wrapped a present on your own, or if you've ever seen tissue paper, it's pretty thin, right? But so he would paint it and let it dry, and he would just keep those pages for when he was ready to create something, and that's what he used. And then he would cut it into shapes just like Henri would and glue them down very carefully. Like, I'm pretty sure he had to use like tweezers, because that tissue paper is very, very thin and it would rip and tear and whatnot. So that's what he would do. He would use tissue paper to make the drawings from his books. Pretty awesome, right? And see, now you're learning so much today. Like, your head's probably gonna be like, whoa, I need a snack break. I'm learning too much. But I'm almost finished here. I keep looking and I'm like, oh, just one more piece, just one more piece. And let's see what you think. Here is my Henri Matisse collage. Now look at that. It's plain, it's simple. I think it's cool looking, but I also love blue and green together. Shocker. Spoiler alert, I like the color blue. But this is what I chose to do shape-wise. And see, when you make a collage, your shapes either should look like something or they don't have to look like something. And why do I say that? Because it is your artwork. This is you. It's whatever you want it to be. And some of you may be looking at this being like, yeah, whatever. I would never hang that up. Other people might be calling town hall right now saying, hey, that girl is an artist and I want to buy that. I mean, probably not, but It's possible, anything's possible. But see, look, I turned it and now it looks totally different. What about now? Look at that. Isn't that cool how you just flip it around and it makes your art look totally different, right? So you're gonna decide, oh gosh, this is how I like it. You're gonna hang it up in your room. Maybe someone will frame it for you too. And then let's say next month you're like, I really wanna change things up. Flip it this way. And then the next month, flip it this way. And lastly, flip it that way. Okay, so Henri Matisse is who we learned about today. He came up with something that he called painting with scissors. And again, why? Because he didn't use his paintbrush to make these creations. He used his scissors. Now he used painted paper, as we talked about. You and I today took a shortcut and just used colored construction paper. You do it however you want. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to see you again. Have a great day. Bye.